Hey everyone, welcome to Russ Reels Live. Welcome to today's show. It's going to be amazing. We're talking New Year with perspective and purpose. Got an amazing panel today. You do not want to miss it. So tag your friends, let them know we're on. Here we go. Special thank you to our sponsors of Russ Reels Live, Kicking Cancer, Best Heating and Cooling, Realistic Replicas, and Capital Mortgage Source. For more information on Kicking Cancer and how to support this amazing organization, go to kicking-cancer.org. And for more information on Best Heating and Cooling in Scioto, Oregon, and their heating and cooling services, go to best-heating.com. And for more information on Realistic Replicas and their amazing fish replicas, go to realisticreplicas.com. And finally, for more information on Capital Mortgage Source and their mortgage services, go to capitalmortgagesource.com. Music by Connor Hedge and Borreson, used with permission. Hey everybody, welcome to Russ Reels Live and a new year here, and I'm not set yet. There we go. I am ready to roll for a Thursday afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I am really excited for the amazing panel that I have today and the friends that are with me. It's been a while, so it's going to be so good. But first, we got a few things to talk about. So, hey, how you doing out there? So glad you joined us. You know, this is not possible without you. And I am just so blessed to have such an amazing community that makes this possible. You know, we're going to be talking a new year, perspective and purpose. And that is so important going into the new year. You know, start thinking about, is the new year triggering a reason to change something in your life, to have more clarity and perspective, to really define your purpose more? What's going on with the new year? Is it giving you motivation to do something new? Curious about that. You can tell us in the comments today, but I'm just so excited to have everybody here. Don't forget, I am a huge connector. I'm all about connection and community building. So you got to connect with me if we're not connected at russhedge.com. Russhedge.com is the one place to go for everything. And of course, behind me, if you can see the whole thing, I would stretch that out. There we go. Life happens and then you choose. At russhedge.com, you can get my new book. I'm so excited. It's been such a blessing. Last year was crazy year. Started the year in the hospital, ended the year being cancer-free after starting stage 4 at the beginning of the year. So it's been really quite a ride and a lot of stuff in between. So thankful for all your prayers. But you know what? There's a lot of good information in that book. Some of it comes from the last year. Some of it comes from years before. Stories about my life, things that will help you gain perspective, because your perspective changes everything in your life. I love the equation called the Divine Equation by Chip Ingram. He's an amazing author. He talks about your circumstances plus your perspective equals your experience of life. And I'm telling you, it is so true, because you need to start letting your perspective define your experiences instead of letting your circumstances drive those. When your circumstances drive how you feel and what kind of experience you have in life, it's going to be a really rocky road. But when you let your perspective jump in and you keep a good perspective, great things are possible, even through rough times. Trust me. Read the book. You'll hear all about it. Available at russhedge.com or on Amazon or anything like that. So love for you to pick up a copy. Also, love for you to subscribe to YouTube. You know what? We have a great YouTube community, and all you have to do is go to russreels.live. If you know the name of the show, you know how to find my YouTube page, russreels.live. There's thousands of amazing people like are going to be on with me today. So check that out. And I would love for you to subscribe today, become part of our community. Makes it so much easier. Even though we broadcast at 4 p.m. every Thursday on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, it is all easier to get in one spot on YouTube. So that's why it's great to go there. So much value, so much content you will see by today. And I'm telling you, because of that, remember to let people know what's going on. Please, please share this out. Please tag your friends and let them know that we're on, because you know what? Everybody likes a little reminder. They might have said, oh, that's right, Russ Reels Live. I forgot it's on today. So this will help them. So everybody right now, tag a couple friends, let them know, tell them, come on in. We're ready to roll. So anyway, looking forward to that. Also, just wanted to remind you that next week, and Scott and I talked about this a little bit, Scott and I will be going to PodFest in Orlando, Florida. Really looking forward to that, learning more from amazing podcasters and live streamers. Even though we've done this for several years, it's so great to grow and learn from others and to be able to help and support others. So it's going to be a ton of fun in Orlando, Florida, this next coming week. That'll be a ton of fun. So, all right, with that, I think we're going to get this ball rolling. We're going to start bringing in, we always go ladies first, and start bringing in the ladies. And then, and of course, Roz is usually just sitting there knowing, yeah, he's going to bring me in first. I know. All right. So here she is, Roz Rosado. Woo!
Yay, I'm always first.
How you doing, Roz?
I'm good. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year. Well, this is a brand new year. This is going to be, there are going to be changes and transformation taking place this year. So how do we do that? One of the first things that you just mentioned, purpose. Ooh, that right there. I think that is the key word for 2026. Because once we attach ourselves to a purpose, it doesn't matter about the circumstances. It doesn't matter, about the who, the where. It matters about the why.
That's right.
Attach and remind yourself, why are we doing what we're doing?
That's good to know, too.
Yeah, we ground ourselves.
That's right. And before we get too far of our head ourselves with the why, who in the world is Roz Rosado for those people that don't know? I mean, who are you?
I'm an executive coach at Your Launchpad, and I help people with life, career, transition, and everything in between. So when we have transition, especially in career, we have like these, layoffs, or you have, things that just are not going your way. I try to help people, get to their next step.
Awesome. Awesome. So great. Always amazing to have you here, Roz. And like I was telling everybody, next week heading to Florida, I'll be seeing you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Looking forward to that. Yes.
That's going to be so great. Thank you. Okay. Well, listen, we have Tracy Borreson coming up next. Tracy's always checking. Seems like. How you doing, Tracy?
Hey, everybody. I'm glad to be back and celebrate the new year with you all.
That's right. You did take a little vacation, the last one. That's true. So good to have you back. So everybody's forgotten. Who the world is Tracy? Tell us.
Well, I'm not doing a very good job of branding if everyone forgot in the meantime. I don't think it's actually true. Who is Tracy? Tracy is all about authenticity. So I am here to be a light for people to celebrate their own unique genius and show it to the world, because we've been given our genius for a reason, to share it with the world. It's here to help people. And so many of us love to hide that behind closed doors. And I like to open the doors. So I'm a doorman of sorts.
You are a door person
for your personal brand. Never said it that way before, but I kind of like
door woman.
I am learning new
A door
things.
peep. That's what I am.
Oh, yeah.
Door peep. Okay. Door peep. Door peep. Got it. All right. Well, I'm learning new things every day. All right. Well, we're going to keep rolling. And Cammie is next in the room. Cammie Huyse. Woohoo! How's it going, Cammie?
It's great. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So it's been so long since we've had the gang together. Who in the world is Cammie? What are you up to?
So my name is Cammie Huyse, and I am the CEO of Zoetica Media, and I run a membership called Smart Social Mastery for coaches and consultants to help them show up online in a way that's authentic. And I also help with I definitely teach people how to use AI in a very human way to help you with your productivity so that you can show up and be the person that you need to be to have those relationships. Because, we're always saying we don't have enough time to have all those relationships. So how do we put that into our productivity? So that is what I am like dialed into, and making an impact in the world. That's 100%. I'm looking to help others to be the best they can be so they can make the biggest impact possible.
So awesome. So awesome. Well, you always help us be the best we can be. And that AI topic, not only we had a couple Russ Reel shows on that at the end of the last year, but the heading into Podfest, it's a really hot topic around podcasting and live streaming too, and how AI interacts with all that. So we'll talk more about that at some point. But hey, Bob Feathers is here in the house. Bob Feathers. Woo! How's it going, Bob?
Good. I made sure to unmute myself before we started, so I didn't want to be like a rookie. Happy New Year, rookie. You're on mute.
So Bob, remind everybody, who in the world is Bob? What are you up to?
Bob Feathers. I work for Bindable. We are a SaaS provider in the InsurTech space, helping our clients provide P&C insurance products through front end and back end technologies. But I'm also, if you go to Instagram, I'm also a avid home cook, avid student of the cocktail, and a wine collector also. So kind of a little bit of both, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of both. You have great stuff on Instagram. Great stuff with the cooking. I love it. I love it. So
I don't know. We haven't tried any of it. So
yeah. Well, he didn't invite me to dinner when I saw him this summer. He'd only come to coffee.
You were on vacation with your family, dude. I was lucky to actually get in there and have coffee. Your family's pack it up.
Yeah, right.
That was so great. I'm telling you. Yep. Well, listen, so it's been 6 months between Bob and Roz. So that means in the next year, I'll see Cammie and Tracy. We're getting it all worked out here. There we go. All right. So speaking of amazing people, and we'll save the best for last, my mentor, good friend, co-host, D. Scott Smith. How's it going, Scott?
How come Bob got to go first?
Oh.
I just wanted to let him collect a few wines there.
Because Bob was here on time.
Yeah. Well, but now
I
we
was
have
here
all
before
of our
everyone else.
squares.
Before
Now we have
Russ.
all of our squares. We're good.
I found out how competitive Scott really is because the whole thing around Podfest, there's an app and there's a competition. And so far, Scott's number 2, but he's working overtime to be number 1. But I have jumped in at number 7. I've broken the top 10. So I'm coming in there. Yeah.
Is it you have to respond and answer questions or something like that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
do all kinds of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Making comments and posting.
You guys have to see
meetups
my friend Chad Pearsman while you're there. He's doing he's doing a really great. I actually saw he gave a preview of his for some of us in a small group. So I got to see one ahead of time for Podfest, even though I'm not going to be there.
Brian Schulman's
Very cool.
the keynote
Well,
speaker,
if
I
you
think,
know-
right?
Yep.
Brian
Brian
Schulman.
Schulman will be there. Yep.
Yeah. He's good.
Yeah.
friend
Brian
of
will
mine.
be there. Yep. First time I've ever met Brian in person. But hey, Cammie, if you know anybody you want to connect me with in the next week, honestly, that's going to be there. Yeah,
I'll do that.
because I'm trying to connect ahead of time. So
You want to know?
all right,
Chad.
Scott, take it away, Scott.
So we're talking about 2026 and planning. I like what Peter Drucker says is that the best way to predict the future is to create it. And at some point, the future becomes the present, and then the present becomes the past.
Mhm.
And so if we put ourselves out to the end of 26 or this time in 2027, and you look back on this year, what do you want it to look like? And guess who gets to decide what that is?
That's right. Hey, you know what? Life happens and then you choose. There you go. And I'm telling you, that's right. And I'm telling you that, I love to say it's great to grow from the past. It's great to hope for the future, but now is the time. Now is really the only time we have. So we need to
Yeah.
take clear advantage of that. So, all right. Speaking of now and this time in 2026, we're going to bounce all the way back to Roz. And, I'm telling you, you landed on purpose, Roz. Take it from there.
Well, if we look at purpose, there's less of a burnout if we just attach ourselves to just a purpose, because we're just, a lot of the time we're interested in where are we doing it and who are we doing it with and what is it about, and it's more about the why. It's like if you ground yourself in the purpose and you become intentional, and if you become intentional, you're less likely to burn out on whatever that purpose is. And with doing, those are like I think of it as like the 3 Ds. The first thing is do, dust off whatever it is that you had on your list, because there's probably a list somewhere that you've made and you probably just like put it away and, like, oh, for another rainy day. But you have to look at it and you have to see, what worked, what didn't work. And, what was the progress, and, how am I going to overcome whatever obstacle that comes in the way? And that second D, I think, is more like delegate. Look at the things that are, giving you energy, and look at the things that maybe you want to delegate, to somebody else or to something else, and that last D is my favorite: delete. Delete the things and the people that are just, vampire suckers, just, they're bringing you down. They're not. Look for things and people that are going to align and build you up.
That's right. I love that, because there was a question on the whole Podfest communication app, and it was asking, what is something that you're learning and trying to do going into the new year? And I said, learn to say no. Because we all are so quick to say, oh yeah, sure. But there's a lot of times we just need to say no. No, we can't
And
do
that's
that.
part
And
of that
okay.
delete. That's part of that delete.
Exactly.
And
that's what made me think of it.
Well, no, and the boundary. Because when we say no, we're creating the boundary of, okay, no, I this is why I can't do that. So again, going back to the why.
Exactly. No, for sure. Exactly that. So that's so awesome. And speaking of boundaries, Tracy,
I have none.
You've got a family and you've got a life outside of what you're doing. And, really having a good perspective and a good purpose in life really needs those boundaries. Pick that up or talk about whatever else you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's making me. I have a really good friend who always says there's freedom in boundaries. And one of the things that I think a lot of us have experienced about boundaries is someone else's boundaries. And someone else's boundaries can feel very constraining on us because they are not our boundaries. But when we are operating within our boundaries, it should feel abundant and be full and expressive and all of those things. It shouldn't feel like we are stuck in a box. And so I think the interesting thing about boundaries is that it's easy to get them, but it's not necessarily easy to understand if they're your boundaries or if they're someone else's boundaries. And once you're working within your boundaries, then it's easy to say no. It's easy to delete because it's easy for you to know what is yours and what is someone else's. But that's a practice that people, and we all need to go through. And I still practice on the daily to figure out whose is that? Is that mine or is that someone else's? And if it's someone else's, I'm gonna leave it for them. They can set their boundaries that way, and that is awesome. But these are my boundaries, and that my boundaries will look different than other people's. One of the things I was actually sharing with my coach earlier this week is that I get like fairly consistently get people telling me that I have too many things. I'm overcommitted. I'm this and I'm that. And I'm like, well, what I actually think I'm very good at is understanding what is mine and what I want and how I can puzzle that together into the experience I want out of life. And if that's not what someone else wants, that's totally fine. You want to have less flowers in your garden? That is your perspective. This is how many flowers I want to have in my garden. This is how I nurture that. This is how I weed that. This is how I take care of that. And that's mine. And no one really has to understand it but me. Because I think other people can also get all up in your business about the decisions that you're making. And like, this is fine. Your perspective is your perspective. But at the end of the day, this is mine. And I know what fits me.
Well, I think that one thing you brought up there that I really think about too is, a lot of people, I've said this many times, people are shooting all over you and telling you what you should do. And without having those boundaries, you end up getting stuck in places where you really shouldn't be, right, Cammie? Yeah. Places where you shouldn't go. I mean, the whole idea of staying in your lane, there's a lot to that, because yes, it's good to grow and learn new things, all for that. But if you get too far out of bounds, you are going to be all messed up, and your purpose will really get kind of all messed up, and you'll have a tough time. Take it away, Cammie.
No, I totally feel picked on. Sorry, because
it's easy with this group.
Well, I like to do a lot of things, right? So I can get overwhelmed, and my husband often reminds me that, I can say no to some things. So that was really, really helpful. So I do help myself with that by having a focus. And again, I saw some people talking about the one word stuff, anchor words and whatever. And I do have a custom GPT that I created. So if you have not made your one word for the year, I'm happy to send it to you. Also, you can ask me, I'll dump it. I'll also put it in the chat. I gave it to Russ as well. So, but my one word for the year is evolved this year, because I'm evolving from like a very small sort of, I'm going to say small, but I'm very local and I'm like ready to move to a new level. You know what I'm saying? So how do I do that without like getting completely tired? So it's about evolving. And the one word exercise that I have in my GPT, which I do myself every year, is it's got personal goals, it's got your relationship goals, and it's got your professional goals. So your personal goals can be everything from your spiritual life, your personal things like lifting weights, working out, all that kind of stuff. So there's that part of it. And then the relationship goals are all about those relationships with other people, both in your family and also like you, like Russ. He's great at like being a relationship person. He sends us texts. He's keeping in touch with us all the time. And then the third one is professional goals, which is like, what are you trying to level up to? What are you trying to do for that year? And the problem with a whole list of goals is that you often have these list of goals, and like, I think somebody said you've got this list and you forget them, right? You forget what you're up to. So having like a one word that anchors all these goals together helps you to remember what you're up to and make the right decisions based on what you're trying to accomplish. And then I turn it into a big poster. By the way, the custom GPT will do that for you as well. And I hang it on my wall, and I hang it everywhere that I go. I have it on my computer. I'm doing it everywhere I can be so that I can remember what I'm up to. So that's what I would recommend in some ways, is just what is it that you want to accomplish and what is it you're up to? So that's what the one word's all about.
Yeah. Well, I'm big on words for the year, and my word this year is resilience. Last year my word was perspective, and this year my word is resilience. I think because I learned through last year that you can start at the very bottom, which I did in the hospital over New Year's Eve and New Year's last year, and came out really on the top at the end of the year, cancer-free and moving in a really positive direction. And I think that, but it was so much in between, so much working on my purpose, like you guys are talking about, and being really intentional and looking at what was my perspective through it all. So Bob, take it away.
I'm supposed to talk now?
Well, I don't know. I kind of left you there, but just take it wherever you want to go.
But I get to talk before Scott, so that's cool. Sorry, Scott. So there we talk. I mean, there's so many threads here we can pull, and there's lots of them. I love the why, but I'm not going to go into that one. I will touch one which I like is, and I talk about this to other, especially in the work side, but play to your strengths. There's this whole thing about strengths and weaknesses, and people worry about like, oh, I'm weak here, and I need to really concentrate on that, which not necessarily a bad thing, right? There's certain things you want to be. Yeah, I want to be better at this, but a lot of people don't concentrate on their strengths. Like again, if you're really good at something, then lean into it and be really good at that. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'll take it from the relationship side, especially with my friends, is I'm a great planner. Like I am a planner. That's just my nature. I like to have things done. And so again, I think we've talked about this before, but it's that idea of you see something, they're like, oh, we should get together. That kind of that comment, we should get together. And I'm always like, when? We all have phones, all the calendars, it's like, when? Let's make a plan. Even if it's 3 months from now, I don't even care. Like, let's just make a plan. But the idea is that I'm playing to my strength, and my friends now then recognize and they accept that. Meaning they've now taken kind of think, Tracy talking about the boundaries, like, is that my boundary there? But they kind of go like, oh, that guy's a really good planner. So when he kind of plans something, I'm going to accept the fact that I'm not used to making plans 3 months in advance, but I'm okay putting that on my calendar because I know that I'm intentional about it and we should do that thing and we should be together. Because if you don't, then it'll be a year from now and you see each other in the grocery store again, like, oh, we should get together. I haven't seen you since the last time we were in the grocery store and we said we should get together. And it's like, you feel like, ugh. And then you're like, ugh, like that's just another fail. So anyway, play to your strength. I think that's another area where I think people lean on trying to, again, not to say you shouldn't fix weaknesses per se, but playing to your strength is also really, if you're good at it, do it, lean into it, be there and be present and do those things.
Well, that must be why I'm on your good list, Bob, because I planned, what did I told you, how many months ahead of time that I was coming to Boston?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
I was
There we
like,
go.
yeah, tell me when. Let's
we made
do
a
it. I was
plan.
like,
We made a plan. That's
we
it.
made a plan.
All right, Scott, take it away.
Yeah, I put that in there. This is, Usain Bolt says, I'm pretty good at sprints, but man, I just can't do those long distances. So I'm going to focus on the marathon. As if, right? I mean, come on. He definitely played to his strengths, and we all enjoyed it. And we're grateful that he did do that. I guess, Russ, for the next 2 hours, let me just go into a couple of things here. I really like the purpose deal, and the story I tell about that is Muhammad Ali. So he was born Cassius Clay. When he was a young boy, he was like 12 years old. Some bullies in the neighborhood stole his bike, and the local sheriff said, you should take boxing. You should go over and learn to defend yourself. So he did. And then he won the Olympic gold medal at like 21 years old. And for many people, you set these goals and you say, when I want to achieve this, I want to achieve. And there's many stories specifically about gold medalists whose life crashes after they've achieved that particular goal because everything was focused on that goal. And when it was achieved, their life was over. Their purpose was gone because that was it. Muhammad Ali won the Olympic gold medal. He went on to win a world title in boxing. Then he converted to Islam, and the World Boxing Federation took his license away from him, took his livelihood away from him, and if you could say, took his purpose away from him. But he realized that his purpose wasn't boxing. His purpose was that he was a Black man in the United States in the pre-civil rights era, and he spent his time when he couldn't box going to college campuses and talking about civil rights. And that was he saw that as his purpose. He had notoriety and he used it for his purpose. So he didn't say, oh, my life is over because I've got a gold medal or I've got a world championship or they've taken my livelihood away from me. So out of purpose falls our goals. And as we achieve goals, new ones fall out of our meaning and purpose. And so you need to spend time and understand what is it? What is my meaning? What is my purpose? What do I do? Because I guarantee you that, first of all, you're going to have some goals that you can't make. You're going to have goals that you make, and when you make them, you need to find new plateaus to achieve. And there's a great experiment that they did with rats, and they put all these rats in a big cage thing that had everything they need, all the food, all the safety, all of the bedding, everything they needed, right? And the population grew. And then it declined, and it declined down to about zero because they didn't have purpose. There was no meaning to even rats need purpose, right? And so if you don't have purpose, you will wither and fade away.
So the question is Scott calling us rats? Okay. Anyway, I'll move on from that. So
Even rats.
Hear me?
Hi guys. Yes, and I would say one thing on the way out about purpose, because I just want to bring in the AI thing real quick. I think that's one of the biggest problems with what they're saying about where AI is going, is that it's going to make you have no jobs and have no purpose and have no whatever. And so I don't believe that ever is going to happen, because people must have purpose. So I really appreciate what you just said there, Scott, because that is so important for all of us. So anyway, I love you guys. I got to run to a band practice, but it's great to see everyone. I'm so happy to be in the new year with you, Russ, and that you're here with us. I can't tell you how grateful I am that you made it through and inspired all of us. So thank you.
Well,
Thanks,
thank you. You're a
Yemi.
blessing. Appreciate you. And thanks
See you
for the
soon.
amazing review, by the way. I'm sure AI wrote that, right?
No,
Yeah.
I wrote that.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
See you. Bye. Yes, I tell you, got to think about where I'm at here. So I think I was talking to
Rats.
Roz again.
Rats.
I have
We're
no
in the-
idea.
we're
Somebody
in the rat
talk.
cage.
I
Okay.
totally lost my train of thought. Go.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll pick up where Scott left off.
Please,
That's
thank you.
the story about Muhammad Ali, and what Cammie was saying. It all is encompassing of what the word for in the career, that one word for career, is adaptability. It's how well are we going to adapt when we have those obstacles and those things, and I think of, the WHOOP model, let's visualize and what's the wish that we want? What is the outcome that we want to happen? What are the obstacles that might get in the way? And, Bob's favorite thing, let's plan for it. So, everything is encompassing on how well can we adapt to all of this? How well can we adapt to the purpose? How well can we adapt to the boundaries, ours or not? How well can we fit in to what is happening, with the AI and everything else that is happening, in life right now? So if we don't know how to pivot as quickly, we will be left behind, and not just technology driven. It's going to be in a lot of areas in our lives. So I think it's having the notion of, can I, move? Can I flow with everything else that's going on?
Right.
So that we can have that resilience. It's how we become resilient. It's how well are we adapting to everything that's happening.
I completely agree with that, because if we don't learn to adapt, things are going to change around us, and life happens. And guess what? Then you choose, because life is going to change things on you, and then you're going to have to choose where you're going from there. And, that's the whole thing with the first book I wrote, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. I had so many people tell me, I can't live the life I choose. And I say, absolutely, you can. And that's where I started saying life happens and then you choose, because things are changing constantly. And if we don't adapt, and if we're not resilient, and we don't have a good perspective on what's going on, we're going to have troubles, right, Tracy?
So I feel like Bob has something he really wants to say.
Go ahead, Bob.
Sorry, if you
Go
don't
for it,
mind.
Bob.
So one of the other things within the adaptability, and also Catherine just said, where was the little comment someone just made? Oh, Catherine
here,
said
this
also,
one?
which I liked. If you don't know, you have to be flexible in your focus, or you get locked up and you're stuck. So kind of to Roz's point, like adaptability, But I'll throw another word about that, which I like, that flexibility. But the other one is forgiveness. Right. And we talk about the plan, but there's this whole idea. And I kind of, when I think about adaptability too, part of that idea is also a little bit of forgiveness, or a little bit of maybe another way, just like open-minded. So there's different ways to kind of interpret.
Grace
is another way to interpret. But the idea is like kind of encompassing that idea of adaptability, or lots of words that we can kind of throw in there, but be mindful of those types of things, right? That in your adaptability is like, be forgiving for things that don't go exactly as you planned, right? Or have some grace that like, yeah, this was the end in mind, and don't be so stuck on that, right? Don't be so focused on that. Be flexible in a way. So, leave some room. So again, within those things, I just like that idea that there, Catherine put in there, and again, just kind of throwing some other words in there, but forgiveness and grace is another important part of that adaptability. So you don't get so rigid or stuck. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Tracy.
I agree with that, Bob. And I love Catherine's comment too, because you know what? People get stuck really easily. And a lot of that is because they lose focus, right, Tracy?
Well, and I think there's an interesting kind of meta thing happening here when we talk about purpose and vision and adaptability and flexibility, is that as humans, most of us are programmed into like efficient doing, right? So we get very focused on the things that we can do. And I'm not saying there's not things we have to do, but if you look at like a grand purpose, and I think there's also a challenge with just find your purpose, and people like, oh, I don't know how to do that. But like when you have that vision, or like where you're going, and you feel really alignment, and you feel like where your energy is flowing towards, that you can get very easily distracted from that with how. And then we get all of this, and again, Bob, I love a good plan, man, but the best value in a plan is making the plan. Plan is going to like work out exactly as it was planned, because it is very unlikely. And so we get so like, I'm going to program all the steps, and then I'm going to get to this like one specific outcome, because that one specific outcome is my vision. But the how, when we open up the possibilities of the how, and I think this is where the flexibility and adaptability and resilience and grace and forgiveness and all of these things come in, is that like, what if I didn't have to decide how that happens? What if I want to feel more authentic in my day-to-day, and I didn't have to plan every single moment of how that's going to manifest, but I did need to keep that focus. I need to keep that intention alive in the doing that I'm doing, but I don't have to know the entire master plan in order for me to deliver on like the one specific outcome. And like, I was having a conversation with a friend today, and she helped her uncle do some Christmas shopping. And then her uncle had said like, I want you to like use my credit card to buy yourself a gift as a thank you for doing this thing. And she had been really wanting to get this pasta maker because she came to my house and we made pasta with my pasta maker. And then this like manifested for her. And I remember her being at my house and saying like, I would love to have one of these. And I'm like, okay, like put it in your wish list, right? Like now Santa can deliver it to you, right? But like, it was out in the universe. And instead of figuring out like a very specific how of how she was going to get this pasta maker, it's just, it's part of the plan. And then there are multiple different ways that can end up manifesting in terms of the how. So I think being able for us to look at with these perspectives on purpose of like, how attached are we to the how of that being delivered versus I'm creating the space and possibility for that to be delivered.
Yeah. Well said. Right, Scott?
Tracy always does good.
That's why
I'm glad to have the band
show
together here. Yeah, there's this long-term goal, and I'm going to go back to another study that doesn't involve rats this time, but it does involve eating something that tastes very disgusting. And so what happened is they took people and they said, all right, here's this very disgusting mixture of things. How much of it do you need to taste to understand, to experience this, right? And when I said it was for me, I was like, dip the toothpick in there and I can taste it and that'll be enough, right? However, if they said, how much does Bob need for this? I'm like, tablespoon, right? Okay. So because when we set goals for other people, we set them differently than we do for ourselves. So they did this study and they basically said, okay, here's this disgusting mixture. How much do you need to eat to experience it? And I'm like, yeah, dip the toothpick in there and that's enough for me. However, when they said, Scott, how much of this disgusting mixture do you need to taste to experience it? And we're going to do it in 6 months. I would say a tablespoon. So this happens in our goal setting, that when we set our goals that are short term, we're setting them for ourselves. When we set goals that are long term, it's as if we're setting them for somebody else, but they march toward us, right? That 6-month goal becomes a 3-month goal, a 1-month goal, and it's something I need to do today, right? But I set it for someone else. And so it looks foreign when it actually gets to me executing it, right? And that's what Tracy was talking about, is about how do we actually do this stuff? And so we need to understand that when you set those long-term goals, and I'm a big believer in setting a 3-year goal, write one sentence for who do I want to be in 6 areas, right? Who do I want to be in my personal life, my professional life, in my personal relationships, my business relationships, my financial goals, and my spiritual goals, right? Who do I want to be? And write one sentence for those 36 months out, and then refer to that regularly, because what's going to happen is something gets in your way and you have to go around it. But I guarantee you, there are many ways to get to that end destination. When I was in college, and one of my goals was to live in a foreign country before I got married. And how was that possible? Well, I could have done an exchange program in college. I could have done a gap year and hiked around Europe or something like that. Mine was in the Air Force. So I was over in Korea in the Air Force, right? So same goal, different ways to get there. But we need to set that out. But again, remember, as those goals come, they're going to look foreign to you.
Yeah. Well, Scott, this is what I love about you. So having a conversation with Scott, everybody, is like this. He gives me so much great information and then says, okay, take it. And I'm like, whoa, hang on. Too much for me all in one. So let's break it down into Reader Digest bits. Roz, you take that away.
Okay. Why am I always first? Okay, so to go back to what Scott was saying, it's going to come down to monitoring your goals. If you write them down, dust them off, and do all the things that we need to do, we really need to refer back to them and see how well, and I mean that frequently. You could have, the week, you could have the month, you could have the quarterly, whatever is going to be comfortable in whatever schedule you have, because it's going to be about consistency. And we had one of these shows about consistency, because if we're not consistent with whatever we're doing, doesn't matter with the purpose and the why and the who and the what and the where and all that. If there's no consistency, we've got nothing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think going back to what Scott said.
And that's it. I rest my case.
I really love this about, yes, we've got to be consistent in all that we do. And as Scott said, we've got to set goals and purpose, but we also have to be ready to change when things change.
That's
correct. All about the adaptability and the things. And somebody was saying too, we don't have to know the whole plan, but just like Martin Luther King says, you just need to know how to take the first step, take that first step, and then take the next step. It's one step at a time. And this is why I always rely on the wisdom of my mentor, D. Scott, because when I get off track, he just guides me right back in. So thank you, Scott, for that. And Bob, back to you.
I have to throw in there just one. Cammie mentioned something. She used the word and it's a pet peeve of mine. I just have to bring it up because it does kind of contextually fit in this, is when people say the term, I don't have time.
Yeah.
It's a pet peeve. It bugs the out of me all the time because we all have time. We have time for whatever's important.
That's right.
So just be honest. Like again, and I think I've brought this before. If you kind of go back, but this idea of prioritize, this helps you. Like Scott, it kind of helps to like review these things and making sure that you are addressing the things that are important or what are your priorities.
And that's where that deletion comes in.
Where's that deletion? That's exactly where that deletion comes in. But the other part of that deletion is just being honest. And it just even saying the words, I've said it to myself. I've also said it to other people, is I'm not doing this because it's not a priority for me.
Right.
And that's it. I'm not trying to, it's just, this is not a priority in what I need to accomplish. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. This is not a priority. Say it out loud. Say it to the person. You're not trying to be like, it's not that I don't like you or do this or I don't want to do this. Like, it's just not a priority. I've got other things on my plate. It's not a priority and I can't do it right now. That's all. But yeah, don't hate people say I don't have time. It's like, we all have time.
Right.
We don't.
Well,
let's put it this way: if your car breaks down and you have a flat tire, you have time to fix it, right? So just think of that in that broader scale. When things go wrong, you always have time to fix those things. But people don't want to do the preventive maintenance or say no or do those things. But you always have time. It's just a matter of how you prioritize.
Here's what I would say, Bob. It's like, do we really have time to be drained?
Yeah.
Because, that's part of that deletion. And what Scott was just saying, if it's not building you up, cut it.
Yeah.
Cut it. Exactly. And Bob, I'm with you 100% that it bothers me too, because everybody, has time and they're just telling you you're not important. And, and that is like, okay, well, at least I know where I stand, because
it's not important. It's just, I think, again, it's just like, I'm not, again, I'll give it because I think, again, I don't want to say it's not, that they're not important. It's just that it's not a priority. It could be like, and it could be, you give a brief record, like, hey, I've got a lot going on right now. My son's doing this, or my father-in-law is here. And I can't, it's not a priority for me. These are priorities that I need to take care of. It's not that you're not important, but it's a priority. I cannot, it's not a priority.
Well, and I think there's something interesting here too on our need to defend that, right? So I had a friend of mine who reached out to me over the weekend. Yeah. And he was like, oh, hey, I want to start this new start. Can I run this idea by you? And I'm like, yeah, but I actually think that we could get some more insights. We've got a group of us together and we had a conversation. And so I have it on my to-do list to put this conversation together. And he's followed up with me twice. And I was like, it's on my list. And I'm not going to take it off my list because it is important for me to do, but it is not at the urgent top of my list right now. And I will get to it. And I think the other thing is that I don't have to rationalize that, right? I don't have to rationalize my priorities to you. That's all I need to tell you is that, and I mean, let's be honest, if you really don't want it on your list, then let's be honest and take it off your list.
Right.
But I also think we can get so concerned about someone else's interpretation of that. I have to do it now because otherwise you'll think that I don't think you're important. And dude, you make it on my list because you're important enough to make it on the list. There's just unfortunately a lot of stuff on the list in these 3 days. And this I'm not putting on the urgent part of the list. And if it's urgent for you, okay, awesome. Then you got to go do the thing, right? You can't, if it's that important for you, don't wait for me to do the thing. You go do the thing. Here's everything you need. You go and do that. Yeah. So I think that's important. And I also wanted to just kind of tie this back into the consistency piece, is that when we start to get really good at peeling away the stuff we don't want to do, that's not a priority on our list, it creates the space for us to do the things that we want. And the things that we want to do are the things that will be easiest to create consistency in. So if you love to journal and you will make time for journaling. If you hate to journal, you probably won't make time for journaling. So that if someone's like, you should journal, I'm not going to, because I don't like it and I'm not going to make time for that, right? But I am going to make time for other things. And when your days are full, I'm going to use this like one last example too, because I think this happens a lot in marketing, and I work in marketing, is just that people are like, I did all these marketing tasks. Look at all the marketing tasks I did. And I'm like, great. How long did it take you to do all of those things? And they're like, 12 hours. Like, what results did you get out of that? Nothing. Okay, so what you just told me is that you spent 12 hours doing stuff that had no return. So you don't not have time. You have 12 hours, but you have to reassign that 12 hours from the original thing to the other thing. So like, let's look at what we can reassign here to not spend more time, to spend more meaningful time.
Well, this is where I think honesty and kindness come in, because sometimes you could say no, and you could say that you're not going to do something without just saying to somebody, I don't have time, because clearly it's been very, very well documented. We all have time. In fact, I learned in my cancer journey that when I was flat on my back and could do nothing, I wasn't really all that important, because everything around me kept going. Everybody didn't need me as much as I thought. And I also learned, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, I learned that I then learned that I could reorder my priorities, because I didn't have to do all these things for all these people, because they were a little more self-sufficient than I thought. And so we learn these things through life, and we have tons of time. We just have to manage that properly and productively. So we're going to take one more round here. We're going to start with Roz. And Roz, final wrap up and how people get in touch with you. Take it away.
Oh, this was a great conversation. It really opens up to a lot more conversation. So the band has to get back together eventually.
Next time.
To continue. You can reach me on LinkedIn. That's where I am. That's where I hang out. Let's not, I think for this year, Grace, just don't be so hard on yourself. If it doesn't happen the way you think it's supposed to happen, then, something else is going to, take place. I always say, yeah, the door closes, another one. Why don't you just go through the window? Find another spot, because it may not be your spot. The new spot might be even better. So it's perspective.
It's true. And maybe you're not living your purpose, you're living somebody else's purpose.
Correct.
So, yeah. I love the quote by Michael Jordan. People say he can't do something because he can't go through. He finds a way around or over or under, or finds a way to do it.
Yeah.
Of course, he can fly through the air and do all that stuff
Right.
while everybody else is standing still. But, that's beside the point. Hey, all of you, do me a favor as we're talking. I don't have my normal amazing help. Ever is not here. So everybody wish Ever well. And please type your contact information into the comments for me as we go. That would help me. Okay, Tracy, you're next.
All right. So first of all, find me on LinkedIn. That's where I am. And that is where you can find me. Tracy Borreson. I'm the one with the pink headphones. You'll be able to find me. I just also want to say, I think like Russ, in your example, like when we slow down, I had a concussion in the summer last year, and I was also forced to just like slow down. I had no option. And what becomes pretty obvious in a lot of those scenarios is that yes, people can function without us, but also that people love us and appreciate us. And they may not need us, but they want us around. And when we have that opportunity to look at our relationships in that way, and hey, what if business relationships happen that way too, right? Where people, they actually want you there, but you don't have to do as much earning of like permission. They've already gave you permission. And so what if we didn't have to do all of that doing that we think we have to do to earn something, but instead we could just like be with the people around us? I think there's a really great opportunity for connection, for love, for light, for permission, for purpose, for perspective, in the people that choose to be around us, not because we're doing something for them, but because we are who we are. So just a little reminder for our dear friend Russ that we may not need you, but we want you around. And we are really glad that you are here. And we are all, I mean, I'm glad for all of us here on the panel, everybody in the comments, right? All the people that create community for me. This is how humans get through the hard stuff. It's a key component to resilience. So let's not forget that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Scott, we're not going to make you go last. You're next.
Okay. Well, I'll leave you with another study, and that is we underestimate how much we're going to change. And this comes from a paper called "The End of History Illusion," and essentially is if you look out to the next, say, year, 3 years, we think, I'm still going to be doing Russ Reels live occasionally. I'll be doing this. I'll still live in the same place. I'll still eat at the same restaurants, same hobbies. We think today on January 8th, 2026, that for the next year, 3 years, I'm not going to change very much. But if I look back over the last year, the last 3 years, I can very clearly identify the changes that I've gone through. However, 3 years ago, looking forward, I would have also said the same thing. I'm not going to change very much. Now, that means that the change that I have experienced over the last 3 years has been unintentional. And if I continue in that same path, the next 3 years of my life will also be unintentional. Don't be unintentional.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And Scott, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm just going to say you can go to dscottsmith.com. And if you go to independent-planner.com, you can buy your own copy of the Independent Planner. But there's a whole book there that you can download for free. It's a PDF. It's got all the pages in there. It's got all the tools. It's got all the theory, everything that you need to do to set up your 3-year vision for who you want to be, help you set the goals to achieve that vision, and then the daily tracker that says, are the things that have taken the 1,440 minutes away from my life today that I'm scheduling, are they in fact tied to goals and moving me forward? And if so, fabulous. If not, make a change. Be
there. You go. There. All right, Bob, wrap her up for us.
We'll wrap it up. I guess I'll play off of something raw. I'm kind of some of these things we've been talking about, but there's another term I would like to use: addition by subtraction. Like you remove something and then you find out there's so much more going on. So I'll use that term in the context of some of the things we've talked about, which is maybe slow down a little bit, right? Maybe that's one way to kind of slow down a little bit. Maybe again, remove yourself from something and see how other people take on things. To your point, Russ is like, oh, I wasn't there, and yet things were still happening. Things were happening. And sometimes it can be a really good thing, right? Allowing people to then take care of some things you always feel like, I got to do this. And it's like, oh, you know what? They can do that. And that's okay. And maybe I will still do it when I'm able to. But at the same time, I know they're able to do that, or they're able to. Or there's also remove yourself from, go back to Roz, like kind of the deleting. Sometimes there's a deletion, and maybe it's just to see where you kind of reset sometimes. I've done it before, one thing where you kind of go, there's some people in my life I really like a lot, and I have great things with them, but right now it doesn't feel like it fits. Sometimes I just remove that a little bit and then see who comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that come back, I go, oh, okay. And so back to your point where I was like, oh, that person's, again, they didn't necessarily need me, or maybe they wanted me. And I go, cool. I'd love to kind of re-engage.
That's the authentic connection that you
Right.
want to have with people.
Right.
When they come back, and because they come back because they want to, and
Right.
it
Not
means
because they feel
something.
obligated, like oh,
Right. It means something
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah. Well, I would like to wrap things up and just say what a blessing it is to see y'all again, and how valued I felt when I said, hey, Bob, let's get together. And he goes, absolutely, we're going to make it happen. And same with Roz. So blessed, and just thankful to God for my purpose in life, which is to get out there, inspire and encourage people, to make life better for those around me, to lift people up. You know what? And somebody told me the other day, what does that have to do with business? Pretty much everything.
Everything.
Because maybe that's why you're stuck in a rut, because some of the basics of life we look past. And, I think whatever our purpose is, I always go back every so often and I look at what I'm doing, just like Scott brought up and all of you talked about. What I'm doing, is it aligning with my purpose? Is it really driving me forward, doing the things that are accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish? And if not, I mean, God's given me a purpose on this earth and I want to do that. So I want to change that. And so this has been an amazing discussion. We're going to pick it up next time. We'll schedule another one here soon. And wow, thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to leave you on screen. We're just going to all wave goodbye to everybody and appreciate you all. Until next time, we'll be here on Thursdays, every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Till next time, have a blessed life, everybody. See ya. Bye.
Bye.